Good evening, pre-algebra. Mr. Lawrence here with your flipped lesson for the weekend, January 6th, 7th, and 8th. All right, I wanted to point out to you that I'm very proud of you guys because you're doing an algebra concept that many of your classmates, not classmates, but grade mates, kids doing algebra, when we were first doing this back in the beginning of the year, they struggled with it, and you guys are catching on really quick. So you're doing great work. You're doing algebra. When you get up to high school next year, you're going to be ahead of the game a little bit. All right. Quickly, we're going to review that this form is called slope y-intercept form. Technically, it's just slope-intercept form. I call it slope y-intercept form. Picked it up from another teacher because that's the way you remember which intercept you're graphing. All right. Now, when I'm in that form, it's y equals mx plus b. All right, the y has to be alone. Remember, Kareem, the y has to be alone. Did you hear me, Heather? The y has to be alone. Omar, I said the y has to be alone. Just one more time, because I know you love to listen. Y has to be alone. All right. Instead of making a t-table to graph this, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my y-intercept of the blue equation. Well, I'm going to look right here. This number that is added or subtracted to x when y is alone is my y-intercept. So b in this problem is going to be 6. I'm going to begin by going to the y-axis and going up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Picture lightning and thunder. There you go. Okay, now I need to find my slope. Because the y is alone, my slope is sitting right here. There's my slope. So my slope, m for movement, it's negative 2 over 5. Remember, it doesn't matter if you use negative 2 over positive 5 or 2 over negative 5. Either one will work. I'll use both when I go to graph. But you cannot make both negative. Did you hear me? Did you hear me on that one, Alyssa? You cannot make both negative. All right. So now, from this point on the y-intercept, I'm going to clone him, and I'm going to rise up 1, 2. Oh, I cloned the wrong thing, silly me. There we go. That's the guy I want to clone. All right, sorry about that, folks. Okay, I'm going to rise up negative 2. So that means I'm going to go down 2. 1, 2, and then I'm going to run positive 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I want a third point, I could go down 2, 1, 2, and then write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I could also use 2 over negative 5, where I rise up 1, 2, and go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What would be wrong would be to do this. This point is not on the line. I'm going to change its color. Okay. It would be wrong to do what I'm going to do with the orange point, to make them both negative. This would be wrong. Do not make them both negative. There's only one minus sign in front of this fraction right here. Don't make 2 minus signs in your slope. So watch this. The orangish point would go down 2 and back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be incorrect. Notice the 4 blue points all line up. They make a perfect line. That orange point doesn't line up with the rest of them. Okay, so I draw my line in like that. And it's hard to get it exactly perfect, but I'll do the best I can. And that's pretty darn good. There you go. Easy. Okay, remember, this one is wrong. Don't do it. Don't make them both negative. All right, I tell you what, look at this one here. Hopefully you've got some graph paper I've given you. See if you can identify the y-intercept and the slope on your own. Go ahead and pause the video. When you're ready to check, unpause the video. All right, if you're watching now, I assume you're ready to check. I hope you don't think the y-intercept is 12, because it's not. Because, as Mr. Brooks will tell you, the y is not alone. There's a 3 attached to the y by multiplication. I will undo that 3 by division, but I have to divide all 3 terms by 3. When I do it, I end up with this equation. Y equals negative 2 over 1x plus 4. Now some of you are thinking, shouldn't I have just put negative 2 there? I could, but remember for slope, I really like to have a fraction. Now that I've done that, this is a cake problem. B is positive 4. I go to the y-axis and I count up 1, 2, 3, 4. M is negative 2 over 1. From that point, I go down 2, right, down 1, 2, right, 1. From the next point, down 2, right, 1. And I'm ready to draw the line. If I want, I could do positive 2 over negative 1, up 2, back 1. And notice all 4 points end up on the same line. We only do 3 or 4 points to make sure that we're getting an accurate line. It improves accuracy. We technically only need 2 points to do it. But there you go. Make sure I have my arrowheads on there. And there it is. Okay, let's look at another type of problem that is actually easier. And this one, you have to give me the equation. You're going to give it to me in y equals mx plus b form. The first thing you need to do is find the y-intercept. Well, I'm going to go to the y-axis. I'm going to find out where the line crosses the y-axis. Curvin can tell you that it crosses at the point 0, 2. So therefore, b equals 2. All right. Now, to figure out my slope, I need another point. I'll make sure I pick a point that I know the exact coordinates of, say like this one. Or I could have picked that one. Any one of those would work. Now, I'm going to count my rise and my run. I'll call this point B. I'll call that point C. And I'm going to go from B to C. I'll rise up 2, and I'll run 3. Actually, I'm not running 3. I'm running negative 3 because I'm going in the negative direction. So that means my rise number is 2. My run number is negative 3. So my slope is negative 2/3. I could write it as 2 over negative 3. I could write it as negative 2 over 3. Or I can put the negative out front. All 3 of them are the same thing. This is the same as this, which is the same as that. All right, I'll use this one because it's less complicated when I go to write my equation. So my equation will be y equals, put my slope in, negative 2/3 times x. The 2 is positive, I'll add 2. And there you go. Piece of cake. All right, one more example. Why don't you try this one on your own, see if you can figure it out. Pause the video when you're ready. I will give you one hint. Y equals mx plus b. Find m and b, and then fill them in. If you've unpaused the video at this point, I'm sure that you are ready to see my solution. First thing I begin with is go to the y-axis, find the point where the line crosses it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like b in this problem is going to be negative 7. That would technically be the point 0, negative 7. So b is negative 7. It's the y-coordinate of where the line crosses the x-axis. All right, I need a second point. Looks like this might be a good one. Looks like that might be a good one. That could be a good one. Any of those. So I'm going to go from B. I'll call this one C. I don't know if you realize this, but if you pick points that are closer together, there's less simplification of your fractions that you have to do. I'll call this point D over here. If I go from B to D, I'm going to get the right fraction, but I'm going to have to simplify it. If I go from B to C, I won't have to simplify in this particular problem. All right, so I'm going to go from B to C. I will count my rise. My rise number is 1. My run number is 2, and in this case they're both positive. Amanda Dowenhauer could tell you that they're both positive because I went up 1 and into the right 2. Remember, this is positive and this is positive. To the left is negative, down is negative. So I went up 1, right 2. So my slope is 1/2. Therefore, my equation must be y equals the slope times x minus 7. And I am done. All right, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. Monday, we won't necessarily learn a new topic. We are going to have a quiz on Monday, so I hope you come in prepared for that. You'll have to be able to graph and figure out some slopes. All right, Mr. Lawrence signing off. Good night, everybody.